Hey everyone, this is Adam back at the Hoosier garage, and well, the weather's gotten cold on us, and you see the van here. It's got some red on it. It's got seating all the way around it, and it's too cold to do any more paint at the moment. Now that doesn't mean we're going to have some warm days ahead of us. It's late October right now, and my main goal was to get the roof, and this is all continuation down to the cowl, painted. So in the meantime, this being a weekend, I thought, well, let's see what we can get done, and so we can push the project along. So obviously it has an engine, remember, stuff like that, transmission. It actually is a vehicle as opposed to just an inanimate object that just sits here in the garage. So we're going to work on trying to get everything pushed towards running again. And one thing that is not in it right now is the gas tank. The old one was rotted out, or had a lot of crap in it, just stagnant gas, and it pretty much ate the inside of it out. So I tore all that out, and that was one of the early things we did. If you go back maybe around February or January of this year, 2020, you will see a couple videos where I pulled the sending unit out. It was all rotted, it was all gunky. So I ordered a new tank. They do make new tanks for those. I can't remember how much it was right off, but it has a whole vent system, especially around 71, 72. Chrysler used like these tubes and stuff. And for whatever reason, and this is like the vent that was in it. Now this is set inside of the van in the back corner on the passenger side. And you got all these tubes, and we'll replace all the hoses, but we'll clean it up good. And I replaced the floor around it where it was mounted to. And it goes on about like that. So I went through my scrap pile before I got rid of all the scrap we've cut off of it, all the rust, and I found the piece, and it's showing me where to position it. Yeah, good. All right, so some of this is actually kind of self-explanatory. It looks like this piece is set right there, and it's good to mark a hole there, but it doesn't need to exactly there, because up here at the top, this screw and nut went into here. So my hole saw it fits this one almost perfectly right there. I think when we establish all of this, we'll have to caulk our joints and they're in the floor. I left a lot of that for down the road, and we're getting down the road. And it looks like it has no cut to it. Hurts my ears. Alright, so we got our hole. We went in and took the old hoses off. We're going to get some new hose put on there. So it fits in there. And our little flange here fits up with the other one. Right there. Now the flange has a little bend on it. I need to bend it back down. And it needs a gasket under it so that you don't get any fumes or moisture from the tire kicking up here. So, and it'll actually set about right here. So I'm gonna flatten that flange back out so it'll set evenly, and we'll pull it back out, paint it. I'll leave the screw and the nut up inside the van here, that way you don't lose it. Go get some hose. So you got 4 of these. They're all the same size. They're 19 inches each, so I have to multiply that by 4. And there's the other hose. It's like an oddball hose, a little bit larger. I cannot quite remember where that goes. It goes on here. And I had cut it, so it'll take a little bit of figuring to figure that one out. On the opposite side of the tank, there's like a relief vent, I think, that comes off the neck, and it goes into the side of the tank. But the other one there, I'll have to figure. It might be one that goes back up to the engine, and it might even be connected to this one somehow. It had rotted, but if I'm not mistaken, this one was up at the front. So we'll figure that out, but we got the hardest part done, and we'll prep this area up, clean it up. Okay, so we are dealing with that, and I was going to take a moment to get some of our stuff together here. I mean, the little stuff first. These are the little sleeves. These go through like the frame rail. That's what your lines go through, so you don't get a rub and then you don't have a leak. Those are just plastic. We pulled those out and cleaned those up. Here's a little chase that all the hoses run through, and it's on that side underneath where we've been working. So that needs to be cleaned up. Surprisingly, it's not all rotted out, because when I pulled it out, I think it's even on a video. When we took all this stuff out, it was completely full of dirt that had accumulated in there, or maybe there was dirt daubers in it. We got the fuel tank itself, and we did a video on that when we got it months and months ago, and it was kind of banged up, like here, and some of the folds where they pinch them together was kind of banged up. So we have to straighten some of that out. So they didn't do a great job of shipping that. The hose that I was talking about, that little oddball hose, 5/16 piece of line, and it does go up to the front, like the charcoal canister. Oh yeah, our straps that'll hold it down. We need to clean these up and paint them. They're here, and as in most cases when you have an old vehicle and you have the J-bolts which mount in here that straps it up to the body, those were shot, so we had to cut those out. We got some new ones on the way. We also have a new grommet for the inlet for this, which I'll get to in a minute. And the grommet on these is the same grommet that you'd use on almost all the Mopars from that era. This is the inlet. It needs to be cleaned up. It's got the metal crossover piece, and then we'll have to put a piece of rubber hose on here, which it's eaten out on the inside. Okay, so from what you just saw, that's been a few days we was working on. We got some of the hoses and the new gas fuel pipe here, the rubber fuel pipe, to replace this one, which if you can see inside of there is pretty rough. So that's going to go to the trash. And we got these set up, but I had to order a new float and a filter for the sending unit. And we have our ring and our gasket for that sending unit, which actually came with the tank when we got it. So we're waiting on a couple more things, and that's mainly the J-bolts that anchor the straps up and under the body. Those are somewhere in delay, I guess, in shipping. So we're gonna have to just wait for those, or if they keep going, we'll just order some more from somebody else and maybe we'll get them quicker. But no massive hurry. And we got our lines on over here, and yeah, so I think what we can do, I got the sending unit cleaned up really good. It was plugged completely down in the bend, and I was able to take the wire and really knock it out. And we ran a lot of like WD-40 through it. We ran some seafoam through it, and that broke a lot of it up. And then we stuck the compressed air on it, and it just blew it all out. So I've been letting it soak and getting all the rust off of it. We can go ahead and put it in. We have the ring and everything. It's just the mounting it to the actual van is what we'll have to wait on for the J-bolts. Okay, so we got another part in, which I actually forgot about. It's our gasket that goes from the tank to the tube. And I kept the old one for reference. We used the part number, looked it up, got a new one. I went ahead and ordered another one, and because the Duster gas tank, it's all interchangeable, and we will need one for that. So I thought, well, while I'm at it, I'll just go ahead and grab another one. We'll put it in our storage bin, and we'll get this one installed. We don't drop it again. Get that one installed, and the tank will pretty much be prepped up and ready. And like I said, just wait for those J-bolts. Okay, so here's our sending unit. We've got it scrubbed down. It looks a little ugly, but it's mostly just staining on everything. I went ahead and painted this silver because it looked as ugly as that. So here's what's going to hold our float. Our filter we're going to end, and I had to go ahead and pop this cap off, and that's got the little, I just call them little wires, like the rheostat sort of thing inside of it. And that's what, when this goes up and down, the copper lead touches that, and that's what gives you your fuel gauge. So we're going to be careful, and you basically got to slip this back through. It kind of comes out, and what it does is you have like a high and a low here. Well, that needs to set inside of that's your limiter. So it'll set inside there like that, and then we will just carefully put the cap in back on. The tangs on it are straight. When they go in, they'll bend over, and so we will make sure we got it. Okay, so this one here, we're going the outside. So you'll guide those in, setting up. And while you're getting this ready to go down, you want to make sure that the little rod will fit back through this hole, and it only fits in there flush. So we will kind of fish, there it is, right there. That's where you want it. Actually, it does fit in further. I'm thinking of something else I have where this, the edge of it was flush with this. It would fit like a perfect fit almost. So when that slipped in, we just clamped it down like that. And I just got some channel locks. And you can start bending it a little bit just to get it started. Give yourself some jaw here. And clamp it down. Now try not to, you know, obviously open those up and close them too much because they probably will snap. Get too much stretch on them. So then we'll get the other one started here. Make sure we, if I go to clamp this down, that I don't have the tooth on our rod there. That'll screw it up really good. So make sure if we do that, we clear that. Clamp that down, so we're good there. We just got this one here. And I like to kind of get it, the jaw, if you can, back so that it'll give you a nice turn on it. If I try to do it here, it might just crush it. So you gotta kind of twist it forward if you do it. There we go, just like that. There's tang 1, 2, and 3, and they're all down. It's nice and snug. We have this within its limitations there, up and down. Oh, what I was thinking, yeah. When that drops, see it goes in and it's got some play to it, and that's fine. When it's all the way that way, that's where it's flush. But then you think, oh, it might fall out. No, it's got the lead on the inside will keep it from doing that. What we have next on this, to complete the assembly, is our float and the filter. Very thin brass. Sometimes they can completely disintegrate, I'm sure. And our filter, our old filter, was just trashed, full of crud and everything. So this one, you have like a groove on it here, and it just basically clamps in there like that. So it'll go up and down, you know, wherever your float is, tell you what your fuel level's at and how it touches those little contacts in there. Now on this part, you have a closed end and the open end, so it's pretty self-explanatory. So we blow that out. You can feel it, it ain't got nothing else stuck in it, so go ahead, put it on, and it's just like a friction fit. It goes as far as it'll go, and now we have, hopefully, like a new sending unit. And you just follow along with that. Our gasket set up against there. Just turn it right there. Gasket covers everything like it should. It's not bound up. Now we've got our lock ring right here. Move this a little bit. Now it'll set in there and kind of slip around, and you should be able to turn it and lock it into place. And the best thing to do is don't do it all in one tooth. You can put it right here. A little bit there. A little bit there. Just go all the way around gradually until it locks. Removal is pretty much the same way. You just go each way, move around a little bit. All right, so good news. Our bolts I was talking to you about, these little J bolts, they're pretty universal throughout the vintage Mopar universe. So here they are, and that's the final piece and what we need to get this back in under here. And then we have some, basically, I think it's called seal and peel. You can get this at Lowe's or maybe even Home Depot, any of the hardware places or big box stores that have roof flashing. If you look in the roof flashing area, you'll see this, and it's like it makes you think of Dynamat, you know, like in the sound deadening inside your car. So it's this aluminum foil finish, and when you peel it back, it's got kind of a butyl tar finish on it here. Well, we'll show you here what we're going to use that for. And I cut all the strips out already. And this is for a cushion here, so that when we mount the gas tank up underneath the body of the van, it'll create a friction barrier. And then you won't have any rub through. You won't, you know, a lot of the old ones, people will take the tanks out, they'll put them back in, they'll rip the stuff off, and it starts rubbing, and then you get the rust, and then you get holes in it, and you know, big thing, metal to metal, you don't want that on, you know, a gas tank. So they usually use like a tar pad on here. Well, I didn't bother with that. And so we'll just put strips of this on these high ridges right here, and that'll give us a good protection, as well as the straps themselves. You see I put a strip on the inside of this one. Now you could use like a rubber piece here, and I took a heat gun. Since it's about 50 degrees somewhere in there tonight, it's cold, it's kind of clammy, it doesn't want to stick, so I took the heat gun and just heated it up and then pressed it down, kneaded it down in there good, so it's not going to fall out, at least while we get it installed. And I got another strip right here, and we're going to go ahead and put that on the other strap, and I'll show you how we're doing that one. All right, so we got our other strap here. We're going to go ahead and lay a piece in there and get the backing paper, just pull it off. I've got this one just kind of going enough length to keep everything safe. We'll just keep it kind of squared up on the strap. Not too far out, you know, one way or the other. Just nice clean installation. So we'll stick it in there like so, and just give it a couple minutes each side. I'll have to go ahead and put it on high, just make your life a lot easier. It doesn't get hot to the touch, at least with that little bit of use, but it holds it down nice and easy. Where this one, see, it comes off real easy like that. This one, not so much. You got to give it a little bit more work to do that. So we'll go ahead, get this side worked out, and like that.
Under the van, you're on the driver's side looking in, so the straps are both equally made. Some cases the straps are shaped differently. This one, not so much. They're the same. They hook in, slip around, and then down like that. And then same thing here, but it goes kind of the other direction. Like so. So we put it away. And to be honest, I'm not trying to get too dirty down here, but because you don't have to. You just don't have to. Our J-bolts, all two of them. We'll take the nut for each one, same side. Now they got little indentations on them, so it shouldn't really fit in there and hang down like so. Now I painted all this a long time ago and I just touched it up earlier, so that's a good idea you want to do. Get all your corrosion dealt with, whether you cut it out or sand it down. I sanded all of this down and then put Eastwood rust encapsulator on it, so this whole area that's boxed in is ready to go. Anything outside of that is for down the road. So I know for starters, the way this tank is, got this nipple over here on this side. It goes into the filler neck. It's got a little vent on that, and then the sending unit itself faces out, and it's on the passenger side. So this is the correct way for this particular tank fit into place. Now, a good thing is there's nothing in it. If there was, that'd be a nightmare. But I probably have drained it. Here's our neighbor. He's gonna help us out.
Hey,
yeah.
He's scratching the tank. It's brand new. Come on here.
Everybody, this is Rob. You might see him here in a second.
Oh,
you're on video. You're on candid camera.
Warning on that one. I got
Yeah. They can't see you. Yeah, you're over there.
That's good. I'm up here.
Put it back.
How y'all doing? This is a man that just has to stay up all night and play with his toys.
Who, me or you?
You.
Oh, I thought you was doing this.
No.
Then we got the dog Speck over here helping out. Let's see.
Here, I'm coming on the phone and everything. I need to get help. I know shit has already started.
We can edit that. We can edit this.
Yeah. Oh, I ain't worried about it.
See, this thing that sucks about these is
The strap.
yeah, the strap. You get it.
Well, it's pulled up in her tight too.
Yeah, you get.
That's why I was saying let me hold up on it.
Yeah. Make sure it's back there.
Feels different.
Feels worse or?
Just feels different.
Well, this side's
I got a big gap. I'm not up in there.
slip up in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that.
There we go. Now I'm up in there because I knew something wasn't feeling right there.
Yeah, it didn't feel right. Okay, we're in the ballpark now. We can get.
That was only an ear.
It was only in here.
Yeah.
You only need one.
Yeah.
Here, you let that down.
Let it down.
Your elbow, yeah.
Okay.
You grab a hammer.
A hammer? Wait a minute now. What are we getting a hammer out for?
Help it. Good thing is it's got a little curved edge. It shouldn't tear the threads up. Here we go. Grab one of these nuts here.
Word of advice: safety glasses while underneath with hammer being operated.
Yeah.
It's good suggestion.
You know, close your eyes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm gonna take this.
This side over a little bit.
Yep. I don't want to lose what we already got, especially with all those tubes up in there.
Yeah. Oh, that one fell right in place.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, we like that.
Now you get to cut my grass tomorrow.
So there is the, that's one we had trouble with. Had to push this part back so that it would line up. And this one fell right in place. So we're gonna tighten it down and then make sure it all fits up good. We'll go from there. And this is the next day. I have started fooling around with the line here, the actual line that goes into the sending unit. And of course it's pretty much just goes straight up to the front and right up next to the mechanical fuel pump. We went ahead and got the hose off of that. So it's right here is the face of it now. Here's our compressed air. When I got the rubber hoses cleared,
I blew it out and it shot out some of this here and all this dust. Now this is some vinegar. I got some vinegar sitting in the line right now, and I got a piece of rubber hose just so it'll keep it from falling out. Just kind of soaking in the line, take up any surface rust in there. Now I'm gonna go ahead and blow it out. And I probably better put some on it so it doesn't go all over the shop. Not a whole lot in there, just enough to blow it up, probably against the wall. So once we figure that comes out good, I'm gonna clean the line up a little bit more. I've sanded it down some, and we'll rust proof it, at least this section here, and then mount it up, and we can go down through there if you have to at a later date and just make sure and inspect it, clean it up. But it seems to be pretty good situation right now. Yeah, let's just do it. I don't care what mess it makes. Hear it? Also, we got some of this going on here. Just put some encapsulator on our seaming after we cleaned it all up. This is just sitting here for now, but we can probably screw it in later. And then the same thing on this side. We'll get our plate, go against this, and get our tube in there. And our line will go on here. There's a lot of vent lines on this one for some reason. I think 71, 72 was kind of a crazy year for gas venting. That was when I was trying to figure out the emissions, reusability of gas fumes and stuff like that. So, all right, so we're working on the filler neck situation here. This is this one was a bear because I got a new gasket here, new grommet, and we fit the old one in there. But I had to actually heat this up with the heat gun, so that I would make it a little more pliable, and I use this hole to kind of pry it in there. I put it against kind of this way right here, and carefully pushed it in, and I was able to force it in because it's got this bulb on it, right? Well, typically this grommet doesn't have a pipe that has that on it. It just slips through, you know, a good ways, and then there's a natural seal. Well, this has this, and it makes it awful hard to get in there, but we got it. And then you get the next piece right here, piece of fuel hose. So I'll have to work that on there. A couple of clamps, and then whatever I did with the rest of the tube, it's a styled tube that goes up into that hole there. So we will get that. Alright, so the fuel filler neck, all that business is in there. And when we look underneath, I don't know if this was a factory deal or if it was something that happened later. Where is it? Where is it? Is that the fuel line?
Oh, right here. This is the fuel line. This is the emissions line right here. Okay. Right about there. It goes up there, hits that little rubber piece, goes across there, and it's rotted. Right there. So, not a big urgent thing, but I will replace that. But the fuel line itself, it's got this old piece of fuel line in there. I'm just going to take that piece out, replace it with a new one so we'll not have any problems there. And then we've got some new rubber here, a new Wix filter in the original steel line. I'm cleaning this one up right now. This is the one that goes from here down to the fuel pump. And then we'll put the other piece of rubber line there, and we should have our gas tank to carburetor feed completely refurbished. We'll go ahead and get a new fuel pump probably tomorrow, and just go from there. All right, so the next day, gonna do some fuel pump action here. Here's the old one that was in it, and you notice on all these Chryslers, at least, you get a circle right here, and it'll have your date inside of it. So 66. So a good guess is this one was probably replaced at some point with a different rebuild or a core. So originally that was 66. So that tells you this is not original, this one, but it's the same model. Here's a new one we got, and it actually has an 07 date. I don't know what that would have applied to exactly, but it may have been manufactured for the aftermarket. So that's probably what that deal is. Now, I didn't know about this one. It's not tested, but it did set for years and years, so the diaphragm is probably dry rotted. So we're just gonna not risk it. And we're gonna go with this new one. Comes with a gasket. So we're gonna go ahead and seal the gasket up, put it on there. These are the correct bolts for a fuel pump. They're the real shallow head with the integrated washer, and they kind of have the Loctite type situation here that gets a little old in time, but it still does its job. So kind of swells up, that sort of thing. So in order for this to go in here nice and easy, you'll probably want to turn the crank so that the eccentric on the cam is positioned where it's on the high side. That way the lever doesn't fight you, and then you can get your screws in without cross-threading. So I went ahead and turned it to where it's on the high side, and we should be able to get it started this time. If you get a good straight shot with your threads, the rest should take care of itself. Just remember, on these small block Chryslers, most of these, the later ones, are aluminum. If not all of them. I can't remember if the early ones were cast iron or what. But all the ones I've dealt with from about 69, 70 and up have been aluminum. Worst case scenario, you can do an easy out and put a helicoil in it. Try to get these threads started smoothly. So, okay, yeah, that'll do it. We'll just tighten these down. All right, now we're just ready to hook our lines up. This is the fuel line that goes from the back to here. We'll just pipe it into there, and then we'll take our line that screws in that's pre-shaped. It'll go up here. All right, so we got a rubber line around here. Got them clamped on there pretty good. You don't give yourself so much to where it's rubbing against like the motor mount or anything like that. It's actually unobstructed by anything. It has a nice loop to it. There's no pinching in it, no crimping, nothing, you know, like a V shape. It's a nice loop, and that'll help you
loads when it gets down to hot weather and cold weather and cycling and all that stuff. So here is our line to the top. I'm just gonna give it a loose thread so that I can turn it a little bit and just see kind of what we got here. I'm gonna grab the other one with the filter on it. And we won't put it into the carburetor yet because this is basically a dummy carburetor for the moment. We got to rebuild the actual one that goes to this van. But set that up there like that. By the time you get this, see, it's like an S shape, all right? And our filter arrows in towards the carburetor. Let's just make sure it all plays out the way it should. I would say needs a little tweaking, about like so. Okay, so down there nice and good, and then we'll get our pliers. These type of clamps, I usually put them right on the little hump, and you get the flare on your line. Well, these don't have the real tight gripping power that these do, the kinds you screw in. So I put these right up on top of the bulb. It gives a little bit extra friction fit. So we'll fit this up here. So that's ready to set there. We'll get our water pump, and we'll get the carburetor belt. We'll fit that piece in there. Okay, so we got another little thing we're gonna do here. And when we got our sending unit hooked up, got a new piece of line, and all we're waiting on here is the ground strap that clips over this and extends over here. It clips that. That gives you your ground for your fuel gauge. And so we'll get all this other stuff, the vent lines, we get all that connected up. It's nothing, you know, super scientific, just goes in where it goes. But when we replaced all this months and months ago, had to re-drill this hole out for our vent stack. And one thing I forgot to put back in is the hole for a sending unit grommet, because it comes down behind here, hides in behind there, and this is what plugs on there. So we went ahead and got the location. I couldn't remember where it went, so we went on one of the Vanner pages, Vanner Inc. on Facebook. So our grommet will go there. And I asked, hey, has anybody got a picture of this? And fortunately, Michael Ruptash, I think I said your name right there. Thanks, Michael. You gave us the location for where that goes. Really appreciate it. He follows us on Hoosier Garage. So I'll use the step drill, and I should be ready to pop that into place there. We'll clean up the end here and run it through there, and it'll just plug into that spot there. So we're good on that. We'll get the ground strap on here, and pretty much leaves us with the carburetor rebuild, and then the fuel system will be done.
Indiana's original.